I never thought I'd end up here, sitting in my own living room, staring at my phone, trying to piece together a puzzle that's been slowly falling apart for years. My name's Mike, and I was married to Lisa for just over 5 years. We met in college, had this perfect fairy tale idea of forever. She was beautiful, smart, confident, sometimes a little bitchy, but I loved her anyway. She had this way of making me feel like I was the only guy in the world and I believed in us. Looking back, I guess I should have seen the signs. Little things. She'd get weird about her phone, always hiding it or acting suspicious when I came close. She'd say she was texting her friends or working late, but her stories didn't add up. She'd also get really defensive, especially if I brought up any doubts. Still, I convinced myself she was just busy or stressed. I was planning our wedding, buying a house, dreaming of settling down with her in that perfect little life. Then 2 weeks ago, I started noticing odd things. She'd leave her phone around more often, but not just that. She started making these quick, nervous trips too. The bathroom, always coming back flustered. One night I came across her phone while she was in the shower. I wasn't snooping. I was just looking for my charger, but what I saw made my stomach drop. There were texts. Flirty, explicit messages exchanged with someone named Chris. I recognized the number. It was my brother, David. It felt like someone kicked me in the chest. I stared at the screen, reading her words. How she wanted to meet up, how she was craving sex, how she couldn't wait to see him. My mind was racing. This wasn't just some meaningless fling. She was cheating on me with my own brother. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and furious all at once. I knew I had to confront her, but I also knew this was going to shatter everything I thought I knew about her and about my family. The next day, I decided I couldn't just let it slide. I waited until she was out running errands. Then I took her phone and looked through her messages again, just to be sure. Her texts with David kept escalating, talk about the best sex ever. Can't wait to see you again. And even plans to meet at our family cabin, the one we'd booked for our wedding weekend, a place meant to be ours. That's when I knew I had to face her face to face, no matter how much it hurt. When she finally came home, I was waiting in the living room. I didn't yell at first. I just held up her phone and showed her everything. Her reaction. Oh, she played it cool, like I was overreacting, like I'd misunderstood. She spat out some bullshit about how it was all a mistake, how she was stressed, and how she loved me but needed this for herself. She said it was just sex, that it didn't mean anything, that she was just confused. That's when I lost it. I yelled at her, told her I couldn't believe she'd be so damn lying, so manipulative to my face. She tried to turn it around, crying, saying I was overreacting, that I was paranoid, that I'd never understand her needs. Her words were sharp like a blade and her tears seemed fake. But I knew better. I could see the guilt behind her eyes, the way she avoided looking me in the face. I felt the ground shift beneath me. This wasn't just some stupid mistake. This was a betrayal on a level I never thought possible. She cheated on me with my own brother, and she's been lying about it for years. My mind kept spinning, trying to process what this meant for everything I thought I knew about her, about my family, about myself. After I confronted her, Lisa's excuses just made everything worse. She kept insisting it was just sex, that she was confused, and that she didn't mean to hurt me. She told me she was stressed about the wedding, about life, and that she was just seeking comfort somewhere else. She even had the audacity to say I was overreacting because I didn't understand her. I looked at her, feeling this mix of anger and heartbreak boiling inside me. How could she sit there and act like it was nothing? Like their affair was just some stupid mistake, like I should forgive her because she said she was sorry. I couldn't believe she'd lie so blatantly, so easily. She kept crying, saying she still loved me, that she'd never wanted to hurt me, that it was just a terrible lapse in judgment, but I wasn't buying it. I knew she'd been lying for years, hiding this affair, hiding her feelings for David. All the plans, the promises, the future we talked about, it was all built on a lie. Her tears didn't fool me either. I'd seen her fake tears before, seen her act like a victim when she wanted something. But this was next level. My head was spinning and I felt this terrible ache in my chest. I started to realize that I'd been fooling myself, thinking she was perfect, thinking we had a future. But the truth was that she'd been screwing around with my own brother at our family cabin, right before our wedding while I was out working or planning the honeymoon. I kept replaying that moment in my mind, the image of her kissing him, touching him, lying there in the woods like it was some secret they shared just for themselves. And I wondered how long it had been going on. Years. How many nights had she been sneaking off, hiding her lies, while I was supposed to be the lucky guy she loved? That night I felt like I was losing my mind. I was angry, yes, but also deeply broken. I kept asking myself, what did I do wrong? Was I not enough? Did I miss the signs? Or was she just a bitch who played me and my brother for fools? I couldn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face, those texts, her lying so convincingly that I wondered if she'd ever truly loved me at all. I was stuck in this horrible limbo, wanting revenge, wanting to scream, wanting to make her regret everything she'd done. But deep down, I knew the truth. My world was crumbling and I didn't know how to hold it together anymore. The worst part was feeling so powerless. I wanted to do something, anything, to make her hurt the way she'd hurt me. I thought about calling David, confronting him, but I wasn't sure I could handle that. I felt betrayed by both of them and I knew I had to decide what to do next. I couldn't just keep living in this pain, this confusion. So I sat there, trembling, wondering if I should walk away or if I should fight to save what was left of our relationship. But I knew one thing: I wasn't going to stay quiet. Not anymore. The days following that confrontation were a blur. I felt like I was walking around in a fog, stuck between anger and despair. Every time I saw Lisa, her face was a reminder of the betrayal. She kept insisting she loved me, that she didn't mean for any of this to happen, but I couldn't buy her apologies anymore. To me, her words sounded hollow, like she was trying to manipulate her way out of the mess she created. I'd catch her lying about small things, where she'd been, who she'd talked to, even trivial stuff like her plans for the day. It was clear she was still hiding something, still trying to cover her tracks. One night I found myself pacing the living room, clutching her phone in my hand. I was desperate for answers, more than just what I already knew. I wanted to understand her reasoning, her mindset, her motivations. I knew I needed to confront her again, but this time I was planning what to say, how to get her to admit everything. I wanted her to break down and tell the truth, no more lies, no more bullshit. I needed to hear her say it out loud that she'd been cheating on me with my own brother. When Lisa finally came home that evening, her face was tense. She knew I was angry, but she still didn't get it. She expected me to forgive her easily, like she had so many times before. I sat her down, looked her straight in the eyes, and told her I knew everything. I told her I'd seen the texts, I knew about the meetings at the cabin, and I wanted her to admit it. She hesitated at first. Her eyes darted around, trying to find some way out, some excuse. Then she looked at me with that bitchy smirk and started spinning her usual lies. She claimed it was just sex, a moment of weakness, she called it. That she never loved David, that it was just a stupid affair she didn't really think about. She said she was stressed, that I was too busy or too clueless to notice what was happening. She accused me of not paying enough attention, of ignoring her needs. She played the victim like I was supposed to feel sorry for her. That's when I lost it. I told her I wasn't some idiot who would buy her bullshit anymore. I told her I'd been planning my next moves and that I wasn't going to stay with a wife who lied and betrayed me, and that her affair with David, it was the final straw. I remember feeling this cold wave of determination wash over me. I told her I was done. Done with her lies, done with her bullshit. I told her I was going to take a step back and think about what I really wanted. That night, I slept on the couch, staring at the ceiling, thinking about everything. About her, about David, about the future I'd been dreaming of that was now shattered. I felt betrayed, humiliated, but also determined. If I was going to move forward, it wouldn't be with someone who could so easily throw away everything we had. That was the moment I realized I had to stand up for myself, even if it meant walking away from the woman I once loved. The following days were tough. I started packing some of my things, trying to figure out what I needed to do next. I didn't tell her that yet. I needed time to think. but I knew I couldn't keep pretending everything was okay. Every time I looked at her, I saw the lies, the betrayal. My mind kept circling back to the cabin, to that secret sex fest between her and my brother. I couldn't get that image out of my head. It was like a dagger in my chest, reminding me that I'd been living in a lie all this time. And I knew I had to make a decision, whether to fight for her, to try and save what was left, or to cut my losses and walk away forever. The decision to leave or stay kept weighing on me every day. I couldn't shake the feeling that I needed to do something more than just pack my bags and walk out. I wanted to make her feel the pain she'd caused me, to let her see just how much she had destroyed. I started planning a way to make her regret everything, not just by leaving, but by making her feel the full weight of her betrayal. One idea that kept bouncing around in my head was to expose her to the family, to everyone. I figured she loved her reputation, her image of being this perfect wife and future mother. If I could show everyone what she really was, an unfaithful, manipulative bitch who cheated at our family cabin with my own brother, maybe she'd finally get some of her own medicine. I didn't want to ruin her completely, but I wanted her to understand what it felt like to be betrayed, to be humiliated after all the lies she told me over the years. But before I went that route, I needed more proof. I couldn't just go around accusing her without concrete evidence. So I started doing my own digging. I hacked into her email, checked her social media accounts, even installed a tiny hidden camera at the cabin where they'd been meeting. I needed to see everything, to confirm what I already suspected was true. And sure enough, what I found confirmed it all. Secret messages, plans to meet, explicit photos, and even a few videos of them fooling around in the woods. My stomach twisted every time I saw those videos. I was furious, disgusted, and heartbroken all at once. The worst part was realizing I'd been blind for so long, that I'd trusted her and that she'd been sneaking around behind my back for who knows how long. I'd been planning our future, investing in her, and she'd been screwing my brother at our family cabin. The cabin, I'd always thought of it as a place of family, love, and new beginnings. Instead, it was a bloody sex den for her and David. I couldn't believe it. All those memories, all those plans, suddenly felt hollow. It was like waking up from a nightmare I couldn't escape. One terrible night, I finally confronted her again. I told her I had the evidence, that I knew everything, and I asked her why. Her response: she shrugged, that bitchy smirk on her face, and said she didn't regret it, that she'd needed excitement, that I'd become boring, that she was just living her life. She told me I was too controlling, too boring, that I'd never truly understood her. I wanted to scream. I wanted to shake her and make her see how badly she'd messed up. But instead, I just looked at her, exhausted, broken inside, realizing that the woman I loved was gone. I knew I couldn't stay in that house anymore. It was toxic, full of lies and betrayal. The only thing I could do was get out, but even that wasn't simple. The emotional pain was so raw, so intense, that I felt like I was walking dead. I started packing my stuff, making arrangements to leave without telling her right away. I didn't want her to try and manipulate me again, to guilt me into staying. I just wanted to get as far away as possible. As I packed, I kept thinking about our wedding day, the promises we made, and how all of it was just a big lie. That's when I realized I'd have to face the consequences, telling the family, dealing with the fallout, and figuring out how to rebuild my life from this mess. The decision to leave was not easy, but I knew it was the only way to reclaim some dignity. I couldn't stay in a house filled with lies and betrayal. That night, I quietly took my things, photos, clothes, some keepsakes, and started planning my escape. I didn't tell Lisa right away. I wanted to do it when she was least expecting it. I figured I'd give her a taste of her own medicine. If she thought she could manipulate me into staying, then she had another thing coming. Before leaving, I installed a few more hidden devices in the house, just enough evidence to show the family, to prove how deep her deception went. I wanted them to see her for what she truly was. That night, I left a note on the table. Simple, direct, and emotional. I can't do this anymore. I know everything, and I'm done being played. I hope you find what you're looking for, because I'm done chasing a lie. Then I slipped out quietly, not wanting to give her any warning. I headed straight to my brother David's place. I knew I had to face him, to confront him about everything. Meeting David was intense. I hadn't seen him since the day I found the texts. When I walked into his apartment, the look on his face was a mix of guilt and surprise. He knew I was angry, but I didn't hold back. I told him I knew about their affair, about the sex in the cabin, about how long they'd been doing this. Behind my back, I told him I wasn't going to let him get away with it. I told him I was hurt, furious, and that I'd never see him the same way again. The conversation turned into a screaming match, with both of us throwing accusations, insults, and regrets. I told him I'd expose everything, our family, our friends, if he didn't come clean. After hours of shouting, we finally calmed down enough to talk rationally. I told him I was done with the lies, that I was going to tell our parents the truth. I wanted them to know how their family had fallen apart because of this betrayal. David hesitated, but I could see he knew he'd fucked up big time. I told him to get out of my life, that I didn't want to see him ever again unless he was willing to admit how much he'd screwed up. I didn't care about apologies or regret. I just wanted to be free of the whole mess. The next step was telling my parents. That part was brutal. I sat them down and explained everything: how Lisa cheated, how I found out, and how her affair with David was the final nail in the coffin. The tears, the anger, the disappointment, they all came out. My dad was furious. My mom was devastated. They couldn't believe their daughter-in-law had been lying and sneaking behind our backs. It was a blow that shattered the image of the perfect family. I saw their trust in her vanish in an instant, and honestly, it felt like some weight had been lifted from my shoulders. The truth was out now, and I didn't have to carry it alone anymore. After all the chaos, I made one decision. I was done with Lisa. I knew I couldn't forgive her, not after everything I'd uncovered. I realized that, no matter how much I loved her, she'd broken something inside me that I couldn't fix. So I moved out, changed my phone number, and started to rebuild my life. It's been a rough few weeks, but I know I made the right call. Staying in that house, in that nightmare of lies, would have destroyed whatever little hope I had left. Looking back, I've learned a lot from this mess. Trust is fragile, and betrayal cuts deep. I also learned that revenge isn't about hurting her back, it's about reclaiming your own dignity and self-respect. I don't regret exposing her, because I needed the truth to come out, no matter how painful. Now I'm just focusing on healing, on finding a way to move forward. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know one thing: I won't be lied to or played for a fool again. That's the biggest lesson I've taken from all this. Since I finally got out and started putting the pieces of my life back together, I've been doing a lot of thinking. Honestly, I don't know if I'll ever fully trust anyone again, least of all someone I loved and thought I knew. But what I do know is that I've learned a hard lesson about the importance of paying attention to the signs, about not ignoring the gut feelings that tell you something's wrong. I also learned that people can hide their true selves behind smiles and lies, and sometimes you only see the truth when it's too late. The most painful realization has been how much I invested in someone who turned out to be a complete fraud. I spent years building a future with Lisa, only to find out she was lying to my face every step of the way. I feel stupid for trusting her, but I also feel grateful that I found out before I married her, before I gave her everything I had. Now I see things more clearly. I see her for what she truly is: a manipulative, selfish woman who used me, my brother, and my family to fill some void in her life. I won't pretend I'm completely healed, but I am healing. The pain is slowly fading, replaced by a bitter clarity. I've realized I deserve better than lies and betrayal. I deserve honesty and respect. And so I've decided to focus on myself, my career, my friends, my family, and figuring out what I want from life now. I don't think I'll ever forget what happened, but I will learn to live with it. To anyone out there who might be going through something similar, here's my advice: trust your instincts. Don't ignore the small signs, and don't let anyone make you feel crazy for questioning them. If you find yourself in a situation where you're being lied to or betrayed, don't be afraid to walk away. The pain might be intense, but it's better than living in a lie. Trust yourself enough to know when enough is enough, and don't let anyone make you feel guilty for protecting your heart. As for me, I'm done with the past. I'm rebuilding my life piece by piece, and I'm learning to be okay with the fact that sometimes love isn't enough. People can surprise you, sometimes for the worst. But I'll keep moving forward knowing that someday I'll find someone who values honesty and loyalty as much as I do. That's what I need to remind myself of every day. Because I've learned that betrayal cuts deep, but it also teaches you how to be stronger. And I refuse to let this break me completely.